So I continually get the same question over and over again. And how do I find these stocks that are making these big moves? Even yet, how am I finding these stocks before they make the big move so I can capitalize on the big move? And the answer is really the scanner. You have to do your research in finding a really good scanner or building a really good scanner. You don't need to spend money on a scanner to be a successful trader or to make money in the market or find the stocks before they make the big move. There are resources out there for free. The scanner that I use is completely free. Thinkorswim is completely free, and I actually built this scanner using the tools that they have to find the best stocks that are potentially make the biggest move on the day. And I pretty much grab these stocks straight from this list here. I read the technicals, and then I trade after looking at the news and the volume, and that's how I can judge whether or not the stock will have a decent move, and then I can capitalize on it. In the beginning, I used to use Market Chameleon. Market Chameleon was the site that I would use to find my stocks. I didn't know how to use Thinkorswim scanner, which is the reason why I'm actually making this video, is because a lot of people get into Thinkorswim and they don't know how to use the scanner. The scanner is actually a little bit complicated when you first look at it, but definitely got to do excuse me. Definitely got to do some research into that and kind of look at what everything means. How do I even build this thing? And what kind of stocks am I going to look for? And then how do I tweak all of the metrics to scan for those stocks that I'm looking for? So that took some time, but Market Chameleon was actually the stock that the scanner that I was using to find these stocks. I used to just go to stocks and go to market movers, and I would look at the most active stocks, the top gainers and the top decliners. And that's how I used to trade. This is the scanner I used for the first year and a half. And I was doing fairly well. I think it was good enough for the beginning since I didn't know how to use this. But this is definitely a lot more valuable. Just gives you a lot more information as well. So let's just take a moment here and go over the scanner and how to build the scanner. So for the low float scalpers, the low float traders, the people that are trying to trade the small caps, this is definitely the scanner that you'd want to build. Otherwise, you can tweak any of these metrics to scan for the particular set of stocks that you'd want. So first things first is, we have to find the scanner. So you got to just go to, scan. There's your scanner right there. I like to detach it. I detach it to my second monitor so I can, keep that on a side screen. So here's that second detachable window, and we're gonna pull this up. So first things first is if you want to scan for pre-market, this is my pre-market scanner. You need to have this extra metric called study. So you're gonna go to add filter. You're gonna go to ads. You're gonna go to study, and then you're gonna find. You're gonna want to find after hours. Where is after hours? There you go. So if you go to price performance and you go to after hours, you have to go to after hours percent change. You can find, the study that you need to scan for pre-market gappers and gappers after hours. So technically, after hours percent change, that also includes pre-market as well. I don't know why it's not called pre-market, but after hours still counts as pre-market. So you need to have after hours percent change, and then you want to look for the close after the close. So after the close, has the price moved? So pretty much what I'm scanning for here is in after hours, I want to see, the price from the previous close moved greater than 10% in after hours trading. That's the scanner that I'm looking for. So pretty much any pre-market gapper over 10%, I want to be looking at, and I want it to be popped up on my scanner. But then also, of those 10% gappers, which there might be a lot, I want to narrow it down by it has to have at least 100,000 shares of volume traded in entire of the day so far. I don't want anything only trading a few hundred shares, per 1 minute, because then I can't really trade it. The spreads are going to be too big. It's going to be harder to manage my risk. I'm going to be taking like a 5% loss just on the spread alone. So I want to have at least 100,000 shares in volume, and a stock that has a solid news catalyst, and when traders are looking at the stock, there's going to be more than 100,000 shares of volume traded pre-market. So that's the minimum that I'm looking at, to at least pop up my scanner. And then the second, I have price. So this I'm kind of always adjusting. Right now I have it set as 0. So any stock even less than 1 cent, will pop up on this scanner. Usually I only like to trade over $1. So I could usually I'd have this set at 50 cents. 50 cents, I would trade it if it has news and making a move and has good volume, because usually those penny stocks, their first target is $1. And once you get that dollar breakout, you can get that nice break from $1 to $1.10 to $1.20. As the level 2 kind of switches up, and you're not trading sub penny bid and ask, you're now trading full penny trades, and so the price can move a lot faster. So anything under 50 cents, I'm not really about it. Some people are, so you can change that. And I'm not really looking to trade anything over $500. I'm not even looking to trade anything over $50, to be honest. So we can keep that. We can bring that down. Although I do like to watch stocks that are taking a big move that are higher priced, so we can move that to 100. So we'll keep it at 100 max price. Why did that move to $50? It's 50 cents. 50 cents. Oh, okay. So it looks like it automatically goes to $1. So we're going to keep it at 0. In reality, I probably don't even need this study here, or this stock metric to look at. It's not as important. Unless you're really trying to look for just stocks that are like over $100 or over $50. For small cap traders, you kind of don't really need it, because most of the movers are going to be under $20 anyways. But if you're looking for large caps or mid caps, then this would be something you'd want to take a look at as well, if you don't want to trade penny stocks. So you can adjust that. And then also, and that's, by the way, it's going to be under ask size. I use ask size. You can use bid size as well. You can use last. Last will also work. But if you do a market, it'll only still work for the market hour. So if you're looking for a percent change, after hours, for your pre-market scanner, it needs to be either bid or ask. I like bid or ask because it moves pre-market, after hours. The market price does not move. That only moves from 9:30 to 4 Eastern time. So that's why I have that set to ask size. You can use bid size as well. I'm not sure about last. I'm not sure if last moves. We can take a look at that. Last. So yeah, it actually does not. So you can't use last because look, last says 42 cents. That's probably the market price of the previous day. So let's take that. So you can't use last. when scanning for price, it has to be either bid or ask. Next is going to be your shares outstanding. Unfortunately, you can't scan for float on Thinkorswim. That's one thing that they need to fix. You can't even find the float on the Thinkorswim scanner. You can only find shares outstanding, which is a little different. Shares outstanding does not take into account institutional ownership or insider ownership. So it's a little bit different from float. Float is like the entire amount of shares available to trade on that day, and then outstanding ownership is, or outstanding shares outstanding is the float plus institutional ownership plus insider ownership, but those shares are not available to trade because they're already owned. So it's a little bit different. That's why when I do have this up, and it still kind of gives me an idea of what the float could be. If I don't have the time to do the research on the exact float, if I can't pull up FinViz or Guru Focus, which are really good sites, you guys can check out my previous video talking about float, where you can find the float and why it matters. Check out that video. I'll actually have a link of that in the description. But I have shares outstanding here. It's just called shares. If you just hit this gear icon, customize, and then you type in shares, and you can bring that right onto the scanner. There it is, shares. So that's shares outstanding, and that'll give me an idea of what the float is. A lot of the time, 100% of the time, the float is going to be either this price, this amount, or lower. If there is very, very little institutional ownership or zero institutional ownership and insider ownership, then it will be the same as the shares outstanding. If there is a lot of institutional ownership, it will be significantly less than what it's showing here. But it can give you a sort of an idea of the float range that you're kind of looking for if you don't have time to research. So I have that up there. And, for my shares, I'm looking between zero, very minuscule, as low as I can find, small, low float, up to 100,000. In the hot market, GEVO was over 100,000 float, and that made a huge move back in 2021. I don't think I've changed it since then. I just kind of kept it there. Because I also like to look at just like, if a stock is moving and it has 100 million float, like I kind of at least want to look at the price action, see what's happening. A lot of times I won't trade anything after like 50 million share float or shares outstanding. But, then again, I also want to account in, for institutional ownership. So, a stock might have 100 million shares outstanding, but if they have a significant amount of institutional and insider ownership, the float can be way significantly less. And then, that could be something that I'd want to trade. So that's kind of why I have that so high for shares outstanding. Even though I would never trade a stock, it's not really considered a low float with a stock with 100 million shares as the float. But, I have it set a little higher to account for the institutional ownership and the insider ownership. I tried to keep, for my search results, I tried to keep this like as minuscule as possible, as like minimal as possible, because it's easier to read. I used to have, it's going to auto-populate with like last and market change and market price and then all this nonsense. I tried to like kind of delete those off of the customize thing because, I only really need one price to kind of read and kind of gauge, the price of the stock. I don't need the price change. I don't need like the market price, the last price, the bid price, and the ask price. I really only need the bid and the ask. I want to look at the spread and I want to look at the price of the stock. That's really all I need for a price. I don't need, last and market price. So I took those off. Volume is so damn important. You need volume because you want to look at the volume to float ratio. So if you have a high volume, PBLA, it's got 8 million shares, and volume and the float is probably less than 14 million shares. I didn't fact check it, so it's probably significantly less than 14 million shares because you got to subtract the institutional and the insider ownership. So the volume to float ratio is almost 1-to-1, and will probably be 2, 3, or 4-to-1 by the end of the day. So PBLA has a chance of making a significant move. So I definitely want to keep that on my watch list, which I have a separate monitor with all the stocks that I'm watching, and that I will keep on my side charts just to kind of monitor the price. And you can even see PBLA has made a significant move, up from 50 cents up to 70 cents. So we're going to keep an eye on that. So it's up almost 60% here. And, it's made that big move because of that volume to float ratio. You're turning the float, you're turning the supply, and, that's how it signals that demand is really pushing this price. So, that's why, I love to have, volume is like one of the most important things when scanning for stocks, because like SDIG, let's look at SOBR. Okay. It has a 17 million shares outstanding. It's got a float of 10 million shares. You're like, oh, this is going to be the next stock. But then you look at the volume, 349,000 shares. I don't want to be trading this. 349,000 shares traded so far. Let's look at the price action on SOBR. And there it is. You can barely even trade it. That's nothing that I would want to trade. So that's why volume is so important when judging which stock to trade. It could still make a move at the open, so it's good that it's out of my scanner, because on the open you'll get a lot of volume, and traders might be looking at this at the open, but you really want to wait for that volume to come in before you start to trade it. So that's why volume is very important, and I actually have it ranked by, looks like I have it ranked by percent change. So the largest percent movers are going to be at the top, and the lowest is going to be at the bottom. So really, you can move this up. If you don't want to even scan for less than 1 million shares in volume, you can move it up to 1 million. That's what my market open scanner is. I don't want to be trading anything under 1 million shares in volume. I only want to be trading high volume, low float stocks, because that's what my strategy is built for. So that's pretty much my scanner for pre-market, and that's how I find these moves before it makes the big move. So I can capitalize on the move. And in order to do that, you need to have built a solid scanner. You don't need to pay for a scanner. You just need to know how to use the scanner. There's free resources out there. Thinkorswim is what I use, and that's how I trade. And if you can learn how to build out your Thinkorswim scanner, that should be well enough to make money in the market. It's definitely not going to be the scanner that's going to hold you back from making profits. It's definitely going to be your experience in the market. And, I find that, the Thinkorswim scanner is perfect for, just covering the bases. It's nothing extremely, it's nothing like out of this world with what they offer in this scanner. It just covers all the bases, and it's, it's perfect. It's minimalistic, and nothing more. And, it's perfect for a free scanner. So if you are interested, Thinkorswim, check that out for the free scanner. I'm happy to teach you guys how I built my scanner to find these stocks every single day, so I can, capitalize on the move as it's happening. And, I hope you guys got value out of this video. I can also do a separate video for the market open scanner. For a quick update, I did make a video a couple of years ago about it, but I can make another update video about how I scan for the market open. So it's pretty much the same. Let me pull it up. It's pretty much the same as the pre-market scanner. Just instead, I delete this. I do not have after hours trading because I only want to scan for market open. And you can switch it from this bar here. You go to load scan query, personal market open scanner. Let's pull it up actually. So I delete after hours trading. I switch this from ask size, from ask price to market price. and I'm scanning for 50 cents to 500, and my float is from 0 to 150 million. You know, really I could keep this at 100 million. I don't know why I have it too high. That's a little too high. And then I have my volume, which is important. I switch it from 100,000 because on 100,000, you know, you still want to kind of see it because, you know, pre-market, you know, if it just received the move, it just received the news, if news just broke, you could see a big move on 100,000 shares. If it's that 100,000 shares in that first minute, then it could be, you know, it could be the start of a huge move. So that's why you kind of want to keep it on the scanner. But at the open, I only want to be trading liquid stocks over 1 million shares traded on the day, which will kind of protect my downside and not, you know, trading stocks that nobody's watching. So, you know, that's why I have that set higher for the open. So that's pretty much the difference for my market open scanner. Not too much different. So yeah, hope you guys got value out of that. I tried to, you know, give you the most I can with how I find these stocks. You know, I've been getting a couple of requests about how I find these moves before they happen. So I hope, you know, making this video did kind of clear up the air, and so you guys can profit on these big moves here with me. So I hope you guys got value. If you guys did, please hit that thumbs up button. Also subscribe if you have not already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, peace.